Hello, I'm back. I am in the midst of doing another deep clean of my house right now, and I'm in the laundry folding phase. So I figured, why not record my 7 things I love about Switzerland living here edition. The first one, I'll start with the obvious, and I think that has to do with pay. The pay grade here is so much higher than the rest of Europe. I think it's pretty synonymous with New York. If you're in the US, like how much you might get paid there versus here. But in general, I think like even minimum, I don't know if there's a specific minimum wage here, but I just know jobs that don't require things like college degrees, they still get paid decently enough that I believe you can get by. The second, now that I'm cleaning my house, has to do with cleanliness. The whole city, at least in Zurich, is very clean. You go to the streets and not a single piece of trash on the ground in sight.
That was an exaggeration, obviously, sometimes you do.
But yeah, it's so clean here. Anytime there's like huge city festivals and the grounds get littered with trash, the next morning, 6 a.m., all of it is gone. I don't know who is in charge of all the cleaning, but I know my coworkers sometimes joke around and they're like, oh yeah, it's the Swiss gnomes. The Swiss gnomes come out in the wee break of dawn and clean everything. So even when it's snowing outside, you don't have to worry about ice on the ground because they will clean that up so fast. The third thing I love about Switzerland is the views. Oh my gosh. I know that there are views that exist in other parts of the world, but I think what's really unique about Switzerland is the free views. And I mean, if you go to America and there's like a nice view from above the mountains, most of the time there's property there, or it's like a golf club or something where you have to pay to enter or own to see the view. But in Switzerland, they put cafes or public spaces or parks in those areas so that anyone can enjoy those views without having to own that land or go and buy a club membership. So that's really nice. I think there's a lot of places around here that you can get to that have just amazing viewpoints, and I love that. The fourth thing I love about Switzerland is the cost of wine. I'm not like a huge alcoholic.
I'm not an alcoholic.
Scratch that. But the wine here is so much cheaper than America. And I think because I'm so accustomed to hearing that things here are expensive, I just assumed that they would be kind of on par or more than like US prices. But wine is like the same cost as beer. And for me, relative to the prices I paid in Seattle, that's pretty cheap. I think the last I paid 5 to 7-ish, cheaper even if you go to certain places. So. And in the same vein, bread. I know people are gonna hate me for this, but I love bread here. Like you just go to a normal grocery store like Coop or Migros and they have freshly baked bread every single day. It's so good. It's just like soft and not even that buttery, but melts in your mouth. And I know people are like, France, Italy, Spain, they have so much better bread. I really like the bread in Switzerland. But again, maybe my point of relativity is much worse coming from the US. The sixth thing I love about Switzerland is the many events. I know people are like, what is there to do in Zurich? Why did you move there? Honestly, I thought the same, but there are always events happening every weekend. In the summer times, there are like swimming, floating events I've just posted previously. There's also parties that happen, festivals. In the winter, you have Christmas themed markets. There's just like always something going on that you can easily get to with the access to public transportation, because it's so readily accessible and available that, if you live here, I don't think you'll get that bored, frankly speaking. Last but not least, the seventh thing I really like about Switzerland is the sustainability, or the focus on making sure we're trying to be more sustainable as people. And I love that. At first, it was a little hard to get used to, the way that you have to separate out all your recycling, the fact that they use Minergy here versus like ACs. And I said AC was a con, but I'm also putting that as a pro just for the environment's sake. And they're just a lot more conscious of like how much each person pollutes. And I think in the US, we're so accustomed to just being like, yes, we're messing up the world, but there's nothing we can do about it kind of mindset. Whereas here, it's a little more action oriented and people are actually trying to help and know that they're part of the responsibility. So that's definitely been affecting me as well. And I've been trying to be a little more conscious. I know I'm still a polluter, but I'm trying. Baby steps. But yeah, those are the 7 things that I love about Switzerland. And there's definitely way more than that, but just to list a few. If you ever want to live here, I strongly suggest. Oh, but just know that many people who live here are actually like young families. So keep that in mind. Cool. Thanks for watching. Bye.